Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Fertility Confidence Podcast. I was doing some personal development today. I'm doing a little mini course with a mentor of mine right now on just like planning and mapping out 2024. And she brought up a concept that I was like, oh, yes, like we so need to have this conversation in my community. So I was like, I'm going to definitely put up a challenge and a post in the Fertility Confidence Method community. But I also thought, what an amazing, just like quick win tip for our podcast listeners as well. So I wanted to share with you too. And the concept came from creating space. And we talk about this energetically in the fertility world of just creating space for a baby. And what does that mean? And in the line of work that I do and with the women that I attract, it's a lot of other women like me, highly driven, ambitious women that have said yes, 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 instead of no, women that have filled their calendars, women that have gone above and beyond often. And we live sometimes, most of the time, at least for me, these big, beautiful lives, but we also have to relearn and rewire some of those hustle culture pieces that we have also kind of ingrained into us. And that's kind of what 2023 was for me, is like, how do I actually, enjoy what I've built? How do I step back a little bit more? How do I create more white space? How do I energetically clear out the things that are no longer serving me? And we can have this conversation from like a time perspective. Like if your calendar is rammed full energetically, that isn't necessarily conducive to like adding to your life, right? We need to create space to call in more. But taking the energetic kind of like side of it out for a second, and we could go there, and I'm happy to do that. But let's talk about clearing our physical space. So when Melanie, my mentor, brought this up, I was like, oh my God, I so needed to hear this, because it reminded me of this study that I read earlier this year, I think, or maybe it was last year, around women who view their house as cluttered, having higher scores of stress, anxiety, depression, but actually also having higher cortisol on their testing. And I resonate with that so deeply, because I also am someone that is like very triggered by clutter. And this is a full circle moment. This is all coming together quite hilariously. But last night, I was doom scrolling on Instagram after our 10-hour drive home from my best friend's house in Indiana. And I saw a funny meme of, maybe it was this morning. Anyways, time really does not matter here in this apparently very elaborate story of, it was why millennials have like connected so deeply with minimalism. And then it's like, this is what their parents and grandparents' houses looked like. And then it showed all these pictures of like excessive clutter and knickknacks and like garages filled to the brim with bins and shit and garbage and trash and like all the stuff that our parents hang on to. And I was like, oh my God, this is so me. Like Tyler always kind of like laughs at me, and has over the years, when I'm like, throw it out, like purge, no sentimental value with like knickknacks or belongings. Like I so value experiences over stuff. And so it's really easy for me to just like let things go, because I don't love being surrounded by clutter. Now, I have 2 children. I live with another adult. There's 4 of us here. We don't all value that same philosophy. And life can get very, very cluttered. And I'm very easily triggered when like the house is really messy and when things pile up. But I'm also human. And like there's seasons of life where I'm not, cleaning my house 24/7, and that's okay too. So all of that to say, what was reminded me this morning was about energetically clearing our space. And so we talk about this energetic, alignment of energy or alignment of time in terms of creating time and space. But when you look around your home, I always love to start with my clients, like, look at your bedroom. If you're someone who struggles with insomnia, if you're someone who has a really hard time falling asleep, if you're someone who wakes up with racing thoughts, sure, we might be having some hormone issues. There might be some neurochemical pathways, like things, absolutely. But also, I want you to take like a scan of your space. If you are currently lying in a bed and you're surrounded by stacks of books and papers and piles of laundry and shit everywhere, and you've got, we all have my bedroom actually doesn't have a chair in it right now, but I know if I did, Tyler would throw all of his clothes on it. Like, we've all got likely that place, right, where we just pile up our stuff. Sometimes that ends up being our bedroom. Does that feel like a really beautiful, conducive, serene environment to sleep? Like, if your brain, when you're trying to wind down for bed, is looking around and just seeing clutter, stuff, to-do lists, things I need to take care of, and we're not able to turn those thoughts off, like, what a huge connection, right? Like, it's like immediate alarm bells for me when my brain is like, for me, I'm like, okay, clearly I'm working too much. Where can I maybe scale back? Have I worked too late? Because that's another like nighttime pattern for me. If I haven't shut her down early enough, my brain just doesn't shut down. But I also look around my room. I'm like, have I like accumulated stuff in here that doesn't need to be in here? And it's like an immediate take care of situation for me. But think about that from just like all of your living spaces as a whole. For me too, what today was about, planning 2024, and I'm working out like our new offers and how we're going to promote Fertility Confidence Method and the podcast and things like that. And so for me, it comes a lot down to, I spend the majority of my day expecting to be a creative human, a smart person that, has all the answers for my clients, or at least the ability to find the answers for my clients. And so my office space is really important. And that's something I've really struggled with this year, especially. I actually just moved all my furniture around like a month ago because I was like, I cannot be in this space anymore. And for me, I think when you have that energy of like, I do not want to be in here, it's really important to honor that. Especially if you need like creative juices to flow, whether that be in your profession or in your passion projects, doesn't matter. So for me, it really was like a good hard look at my office. I have this closet and the doors are shut, but behind those doors, it's a hot mess. Like we moved into this house 2 years ago, haven't unpacked my office. There's just stacks of boxes that I've like pulled out to dig through and shoved back in. And like every time there's something, I'm like, I don't really know where this goes. I just shove it in the closet. These are things that are subconsciously taking up space of my like never ending to-do list. So if you are a woman, whether you are going through a fertility journey or not, just anyone who feels as though it's just, if you've said these things, it's never ending. My to-do list is a mile long. I always have a million things to do. I never have enough time. I want you to take a second and actually like survey your surroundings, because it can be a really easy tactic to just actually physically clear space. And then I'm not seeing the reminders. Like, take care of the things that are in your visual cues and just knock it out of just get it off the list. But create a really beautiful environment that you enjoy being in. And you don't have to bulldoze your whole home right now. But are you someone that might be easily ramped up by clutter? And the study that I was talking about, it actually looked at, it was an interesting little paper, and it took women, they walked the researchers through their homes and they looked for how their response was. So talking about the clutter, talking about how they spoke about their house, and did they talk about it in a peaceful way? And then they checked their cortisol. And so they found a connection between the women who perceived their home as cluttered and messy and disorganized had higher levels of cortisol. So when we're, in FCM and Fertility Confidence Method, if you've done boot camp with me, if you've taken our stress and infertility masterclass, we always talk about, environmental aspects of stress, how you're eating, how you're sleeping, how you're moving your body. Now we have to, not that I want to add on to your plate, because we all know that's not awesome either. But if we're really trying to do our due diligence in terms of lowering our stress, how awesome is it that one of the things that can contribute to helping to balance our cortisol is just, decluttering our environment? And by decluttering our environment, we're decluttering our brains. We're allowing our brains to just feel at peace and relax. And if you struggle with that, that's something that I've really noticed that I struggle with, is like, okay, I'm, quote unquote, relaxing. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lie on the couch for a couple of hours and breathe and just de-stress, but I'm not off. And I can't do that if I'm surrounded by toys and books and clutter and things and clothes and laundry. That's just me. And I used to see this as a weakness, but the reality is that it's not. It's just a part of who I am. And by honoring that part of me, and sure, do I want to have to constantly be putting the shit away? No, I don't. But it makes me feel better when I do. If I take that extra 10 minutes, then I can actually relax. And I've been doing an experiment with my Aura ring because it now tracks for different levels of stress through the day. And you can see when, I'm quote unquote relaxing, but I'm relaxing in a state that isn't relaxing, meaning my ring is still thinking I'm in a stressed and engaged state. And 9 times out of 10, it's because I'm trying to just chill in the living room surrounded by shit. Whereas when I'm relaxing, in a cozy, beautiful space that's tidy, that doesn't leave my brain going, oh, gotta do that, oh, gotta do that, oh, gotta do that. Think of all the wasted brain calories that we are worried about clutter. It's mind-boggling to me how many hours I've probably wasted this year just subconsciously worried about clutter. And it's not a quick, I'm just not going to worry about that anymore, right? Tyler's just don't stress about it. For him, he doesn't even see it, right? How many of your partners, do they even see it? That's annoying. It's annoying that they don't, but they don't. And the reality is that I do, right? And that's no longer a weakness in my opinion. It's probably one of my strengths, and that's fine. But in order for me to create space, we need to tackle physical space as well. So I know it's close to the holidays. It's probably not the time to take on a big reorganization project, but it also might be the time, as I'm hosting Christmas for the first time at my home, I'm now in the back of my head making a list of all the things I need to clean and tidy up. And so if you are in that era as well, getting ready for family to visit your home for the holidays, or whenever you're listening to this, instead of just shoving it in the closets, let's actually think about this long term. How do we actually make this not come back into our space? How do we declutter and create physical space that makes us feel good and calm and relaxed? Because your home should feel that way. You should be able to come home to a space that you can take a deep breath in and be I'm here. I'm cool, calm, and collected. I feel good. I am calling in all of my wants and dreams and wishes and desires for all the time coming in the future. So hopefully that was helpful. That was quite the ramble, I feel. But that was what was on my heart today, because I'm feeling that kind of personal need. So my goal is to tackle even though I feel like my list is very long, my goal is to actually to my office today. I'm going to tidy her up once the kids get home, because that's something I can do while they're here that I don't, need to be focused at my desk for, so that tomorrow I can sit down in my office and be like, yes, I want to work in here. Yes, I want to be here. And then I'm also going to work on just tidying up bedside tables and things, because for me, their bedroom is a really important place to feel good in. And so if you don't feel good in your bedroom, of course, the fertility journey is going to have just like its added annoyances, right? If we don't feel good in our bedroom, then what are we doing? So I want you to pick one area in your home, or maybe it's your desk at work, maybe it's your car, maybe, your purse is like a hot mess. I want you to pick one thing that you've been really neglecting that's super cluttered, that gives you like all those anxiety feels that you're like constantly sort of subconsciously thinking like, I need to deal with that. And I just want you to deal with it this week, because creating that space and creating that clearing that physical clutter is going to be so good for your adrenal health and for your stress and for your hormones. But it's also going to kind of be that gateway to you taking that next step in saying, okay, how do I create more space for baby next year? How do I set more boundaries, not just with other people, but even with myself, and move forward from there. So hopefully that was helpful. Let me know on Instagram at Fertility Confidence Method if you are taking a little decluttering challenge with me. And if this feels daunting, like we're in it together, trust me, I'm also feeling all the things at the end of the year here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.